Just hit live and we're cold opening this bitch.
Word up.
You don't need the runaround. You've done this with us enough.
That's what I said, Dan, don't give me a script. What are you doing?
Yeah.
Right? I was like, fuck it. We ain't doing a script. We're going rapid fire then. Perfect.
That's true. Look, he only got through the news.
Beerfield.
I just opened it just in case.
I was sitting there last night trying to figure out what we were going to do for a show and just drawing a blank. So I'm glad we're just rolling unscripted.
Yeah, man.
Okay, intro time. Actually, we've been live for
I didn't even write questions down. I'm just going to figure them out as we go.
I've got a few just in case we need them. They're good.
I got his big board up, so if anything, it's going to be a lot of questions about his rankings.
There we go.
And welcome to Beerfield Fantasy Football. I am your host at Hot BFF with 2 P's. Little delayed there as I was getting the, things fixed where you could actually see us. This is episode 331, and we still don't know what the hell we're doing. At Hot BFF, at 30BFF. Dan, what's up?
It's a long day. Dan went a little too hard last night. And my last time I mean by yesterday afternoon, because we met up with some friends, and I was pretty hesitant. I wanted to just stay in and relax on this fine Sunday afternoon. Hurricane decides to roll in and convince me to go to the bar. One beer.
She's a terrible influence on you.
She is a horrible influence, the worst. One beer turns into a pour of 1910, and as Hopper has found out, it's become one of my new favorite bourbons. That didn't turn into 3 more glasses of bourbon when I got by bourbon, 2 more rye and 1 more Miller 12 when I got home. And let's just say shit wasn't great. I mean, It was great bourbon, just not a great time for me.
I ran out of my 1910 last week. That was a little bit sad. Beerfield Fantasy Football on YouTube if you're listening to the audio podcast. Beerfield Fantasy Football everywhere you get podcasts if you're listening to YouTube, because you should listen to us both places every week. Without further ado, though, I would like to introduce our guest, because this is way better when he talks with us. So,
let me clear my throat.
Hailing from Mousepin, Checkbookville, North Virginia, standing 5 foot 15 inches tall, weighing in at an astonishing 185 pounds with a BMI, because that's what matters to everybody, of 28.5, and I'm making that up. He is the director of fantasy football at NFL Draft Bible, host of the Draft Seminar, a highly acclaimed dolphin interpreter, a world champion synchronized swimmer. He does something for SI now does something for SI now. Matt, the Emu Hicks.
I have not been 185 pounds in a while, and that would be nice. So I appreciate
That's the first thing that he goes to. Not the 5 foot 15.
Well, that one was closer. That would be what, 6'3"?
6'3".
Yeah.
I'm 6'1". I'm 6'2", 6'1", 6'2", so we were closer there.
Not the mouse pin.
I think BMI would be 25.2 or some shit like that.
Well, can I tell you what I was caught at? You mentioned the episode number, and I was trying to figure out, I feel like I've done enough guest spots where I'm I feel like I've done 2 to 3% of the episodes, I was trying to do the math there.
Yeah, probably. I mean, 2 to 3% of them have probably been you guys, Loaded Box, and I don't know, Miguel and Garbage Time. So, I mean, it's good to have you for your yearly spot. I'm glad you're not too big for us yet.
Not yet. Maybe next year. No, I'm just kidding. Never too big for Dan. We'll see about you, Hopper.
Yeah.
23.1.
You calculated it.
For 6 I mean, I do a lot of database stuff, so I've gotten.
I didn't tell you my actual weight, so. I don't know. I don't
We'll
know
just say
what
that
a
the
good
BMI is probably a bit high.
Ripped AF.
I don't know what a good BMI is, but I don't think I have one.
Depends what position you're playing.
Yeah, I know. I don't.
What do we got for the bench?
Bears
I think you're bigger BMI than Devonta Smith, so I mean that's got to be pretty good.
low bar.
Oh no, I'm sure I have a big BMI, just not in the good way.
Low bar. I'm glad we're just completely glossing over the fact that I made up a city based on things that were sitting on my desk in front of me. So there's that too. North Virginia, not a real state, just in case anybody was curious.
And listen, man, the DMV area, you nailed the part of the country correctly.
Oh, I knew it was somewhere in the Northeast. I couldn't remember where.
We're in Maryland, so you got the area.
Oh, that's right. Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway, like, what's up? Like, you're doing kind of everything now, like to where I didn't even put an affiliation in the show title. I just, fantasy football, everything, man. So, like, where might be a shorter list if we say where the people can't find you, but like, let them know what you're doing now, dude, because you come a really long way from the first time on the show where it was you and Eric, and you were just getting, really breaking into podcasting with top two. So let's hear it. Brag, dude, because you've done great.
Yeah, I mean it's been a fun journey, and I've been lucky to interact with some great people along the way and just kind of take advantage of some opportunities and grinding it out as I go. But on Twitter at the @FF_educator, that's where all the content gets pushed out through. But we're part of NFL Draft Bible with Sports Illustrated now, which is really fantastic. We're trying to help push Dynasty and Devy to the mainstream, and using that platform, which is super fantastic. Draft Seminar is really fantastic, part of the NFL Draft Bible podcast network, which is now a daily podcast. So, I'm one day a week. Me and John Lobb are the Draft Seminar one day a week, but we have 4 other great shows the rest of the week. And, launch my own podcast, Rookie Big Board Podcast, focusing on rookies 365 days a year. That is also on YouTube. We're kind of blowing up on YouTube. 'Tis the season. So, I would definitely encourage you to check that out on YouTube, Rookie Big Board Podcast. And you know what? And I know, Dan is a part of this. The Patreon community, man, has been blowing up the last couple months as we get into draft season. So that's patreon.com/theFFeducator. And I think that's everything. I think I got it all.
If not,
except for my synchronized swimming team, but that's kind of a side gig.
Yeah, ESPN 9.
He swims with dolphins at just at his own leisure. Like he flies in his own dolphins.
While he's interpreting for them.
Yes,
some Ace Ventura action.
That's right.
All right, so as you heard in the cold open, we don't really have a script. We're going to run through the news, see where that takes us, and then we're just going to kind of rapid fire off some questions, drink a little beer, and shoot the shit. So.
We're going to talk about rookies, right? That's all.
We got
rookies.
You can ask me anything.
I got your rankings up. I got the big board up.
I'm going to be, this will surprise you, I'm going to be a little bit more off the wall and not quite as formulaic about that. So.
Oh,
I like that.
We're both going to be off the wall.
No rules, Hopper.
All right.
No rules at all.
But before we do that, as is customary, because you guys care, we got to tell you what we're drinking.
What's fueling Beerfield?
I'm comfortable enough to throw it to this guest first because he's done this before. So, Matt, what do you got?
No, don't make me go first, guys.
Okay, fine. Dan, what do you got?
So, I got a gift. This was from Andrew, my beer coworker at my job here at Benny's. He got me a Keyboard Kitty. It's from G5 Brewing Company out of, I think it's Beloit, Wisconsin. Beloit.
Aren't you from there?
No, fucking Minnesota. God, get out of here.
What's the difference?
Major differences. This is an Imperial Brown Ale. Clocks in at 8%. What else is fucking this thing? Just an Imperial Brown. Some honey. So, excited to try this.
All right, Matt, we'll let you go last. I got Little Risk from Goose Island. This is a session stout, which apparently is...
What the fuck is this? What?
It's a session stout that's made with wheat, apparently, because it says contains wheat, and it's apparently Brazilian-based. So I guess that's why it's called A Little Risk. But from Goose Island Beer Co., again, session stout, Brazilian, so it's supposed to be lighter and more, like most sessions are, lighter, lower ABV, easier to drink. It was very interesting when I saw it sitting there. Normally I see Goose Island, and I'm kind of like, okay, what else do you got? But, this was too interesting for me to pass up. So, real intrigued to get into this a little bit later on. Okay, Matt, what are you drinking?
Per usual, gentlemen, I'm drinking coffee at this time of the night, or caffeine, I should say, instead of drinking an actual beverage. I'm going to...
Because you don't sleep.
Because I don't sleep. And
no, you don't sleep. You're a fucking vampire, aren't you?
You're going to think this is absolutely disgusting, as will all of the listeners. They're going to turn off the podcast after I tell them what I'm drinking. But it tastes delicious, believe it or not. This is a black cherry and coffee caffeinated seltzer by Aha. And it sounds disgusting, but it is actually fantastic. So I'm drinking caffeine instead of alcohol.
Actually, that doesn't sound that bad, though, because black cherry is kind of a note that you get naturally along with coffee out of a lot of things. So, particularly darker roast coffees have that note, I believe. I'm not a coffee connoisseur by any means, but that's what the sides of the packages tell me. So
I'm a coffee fiend, so, it's a problem.
Not a problem. It's a solution to your problems.
There you go.
News.
All right, this is a real jumping off point where we start to go off the rails. It's a segment only because it's starting things off. So we'll start with news that broke today. Cardinals signed J.J. Watt, 2-year, $31 million, $23 million guaranteed. For me, I think this is exactly how this free agency should have went. No team should have been signing Watt to a long-term big money deal. I think a short-term incentivized deal is exactly the type of contract that Watt needed to land. And I think the Cardinals is kind of the type of team that he needed to go to. They've got their offense really entering a window. The defense definitely needed some help and some pass rush help, but they got other pieces around him to where, he doesn't have to be the game wrecker. They've got a nice piece in, like Budda Baker, for example. Some other pieces around him that can help him not necessarily be the focal point, really be a complementary piece and more of a pass rush specialist almost. And at this point in his career, he needs to be kind of that rotational, big play, deployed type, sporadically deployed type of player. So I love this move. Matt, Dan, how do you feel about it?
Matt, how do you really feel about it? Because I'm not. I mean, it's a lot of money for. I think he's 32 years old. He's coming off of multiple. He played
16 games
this past season.
16 games in 2 of the last, I think, 5 years.
5 years, yeah. So obviously, health it's been pretty sporadic. He hasn't played in back-to-back 16 game seasons since 2014-15. So I'm not a defensive specialist here. So Matt, why don't you give the listeners your thoughts on this?
I just love the team that Houston is building out there in Arizona. I think they're doing a great job. And, I don't pretend to comment on defense. I spend all my time working on the offensive side. So I have no actual analysis, but I kind of wanted to see him go to Buffalo just as a fan because I like the Bills. I don't know. I want them to win. I don't know why, but
everybody
I was a little disappointed there.
Does.
Yeah, Josh Allen. You all know how much I love Josh Allen, so that was a little disappointing. But the jokes were fantastic. So JJ, I appreciate you for that.
Buffalo would have been another good landing spot for him. Really, I think what I said, I might have said it here. I definitely said it in some Facebook groups and stuff that I'm in, which is basically that he needed to land on a team that maybe was a couple pieces away from being competitive, and that or that needed pass rush help. And Buffalo was one of those teams that fit that mold of they need pass rush help. Green Bay was one of those teams that they needed pass rush help. Cleveland was another one of those teams that has an open window and needed pass rush help. And I think Arizona's right there. As for the money, this is the type of stuff you can do when you have a quarterback on a rookie deal. And I'll just I'll just leave it at that. They're not pressed because right now they have a quarterback on a rookie deal, so they can do this and try to maximize that return. Whereas if you've got, a quarterback you're paying big money to and a receiver you're paying big money to, this isn't really the type of money you can go out and spend on this type of piece. So, all right, sounds like I'm the only one with a strong opinion there. Moving on. Moving on. The Washington football team's parted ways with quarterback Alex Smith. First off, this was a no-brainer when you look at his contract situation. There was no way Washington was going to pay him what he was under contract for to come back and start. Heard the Bears throwing out his landing spot. I actually don't hate it because give me that sweet, sweet bridge quarterback deal. But that's exactly what Alex Smith is going to be at best, is a 1 to 2 year bridge quarterback. He's in his 30s, obviously coming off of a major injury, and I wouldn't be shocked if he retires either.
No, sorry, Matt, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, I think someone pick him up just as with Hopper mentioned. I think he's a great mentor at the very least.
Yeah.
He knows he's not going to get top dollar. And he'll likely take, he may not even just take the best deal, but he'll probably take the deal that may put him in the best position to be a mentor or to potentially get try to get a ring. Which I think is great. He's already going to go down as one of the best comeback stories we've ever seen. So I think he's proven more than enough, and we'll see how much he wants to go out there and actually prove that he can still play at a decently high level.
I say we do a little Jackie Moon situation with this, from semi-pro, like player-coach type situation. Let him hold the clipboard, let him pretend to put on the jersey.
Josh McCown.
You know what? Yeah, and maybe we send him up to Green Bay, man. The quarterback room is not full enough already for the Packers, so maybe we send Alex Smith up there and, get Jordan Love in there. Rodgers loves when new guys come into town. That might be a good fit.
He loves him so much, he actually plays at a higher level.
Exactly.
He just decides that, you know what, I actually don't need playmakers around me. Why don't you just get rid of Aaron Jones altogether? Just give me, Quads McGee and AJ Dillon.
Maybe
we're fine.
Quads McGee. Maybe that's the long con. Maybe the long con in Green Bay is let's just keep pissing Aaron Rodgers off, and then we can throw freaking, I don't know, Kalen Ballage out there at running back, and we'll throw Hakeem Butler at wide receiver, and we'll make it work.
Yeah, man. I think
actually imagine if Hakeem Butler was the deep threat there.
No, because he would still get beaten out by Alan Lazard, just like he'd still get beaten out like Alan Lazard, just like he was in college.
He's playing move slot tight end. He ain't playing on the outside. Jay
Sternberger. Anyway, 49ers reached out to the Panthers to discuss a potential trade for quarterback Teddy Bridgewater. Why? This moves the needle a little bit, but why? This doesn't move the needle enough over Jimmy G to me.
Yeah. I guess he's better. I guess he's a better accurate thrower.
I think it's a slight.
I think their offense wants to go with, but I think
it's a slight step up, but
yeah,
you're not moving.
Well, it's not like Garoppolo can stay healthy either. So it's them doubling down on just more bridge quarterbacks.
Depends on the price. It's like Wentz was, right? It just depends on the price.
That's fair.
Okay. Moving on. Matt's it's funny because I have Zoom on speaker view for YouTube, so you can't see I should change this because Matt is doing so much talking with his face that we're going to go to gallery view because 90% of what Matt's talking right now is with his face. It's just like, yeah, you're right. Nope, I don't care. Yeah, it's just facial expressions.
Just like
it makes for facial. I'll tell you what, facial reactions make for great podcasts.
It does.
who cares?
See, say it.
That's
exactly
right.
Because what we're going to do is we're going to talk about which quarterback needs to replace Teddy Bridgewater in Carolina, and that's interesting. But I don't know.
It's not. You're exactly right. Dan put this list together.
Dude, man. Hey. Don't you remember that drop that you had? I think it's from Jurassic Park. Who cares?
I do. Hold on.
It's been a long time since we've used it. So
I might
like
get
that's-
copyright claim for that, but we don't make any fucking money anyway.
Yeah, because we make money doing this.
Dodson, we've got Dodson here. Nobody cares.
Nobody cares.
There you go. I pulled it out. I got a folder of those still. I didn't delete all of them. Here you go. This will get the discussion going, Matt, because this is going to be the first time you and I debate, I'm sure. NBC Sports' Peter King said he wouldn't be surprised if Bama's Mac Jones is drafted before Trey Lance. Quick thoughts on this. So I'll let you guys go. I obviously have thoughts here, but
Matt, go ahead.
I mean, he shouldn't go before Trey Lance. I mean, the bottom line is, for me, there's four top quarterbacks that are going to go in the top 10, with probably Carolina really being the bottom of that. And obviously trades are going to move around, but that 8 spot, I feel like 4 quarterbacks are going to go off the board, and those quarterbacks are going to be Lawrence, Fields, Wilson, and Lance. I think Mac Jones is going to be the next one up. You know what I mean? And looking at a situation here, I cannot see an NFL team really taking Mac Jones over Trey Lance. And a big thing that I like to point out to folks about it is a lot of people knock Trey Lance's experience. Well, Trey Lance has played in exactly the same amount of collegiate games as Mac Jones has. All right, except it took Mac Jones 3 years to get on the field.
It wasn't
and
in the SEC.
Yeah,
Sorry.
in the SEC. But, Trey Lance also dominated the FCS and played his first day on campus. When you go and look at the tape, Mac Jones is seriously limited in terms of his skill set. So it's going to take a particular offense, one with an old school coaching mindset and one that's not looking to be innovative. And if you're taking Mac Jones, you better be damn confident in your offensive line, because he was scared of defenders coming at him, playing behind the best offensive line in the country in Alabama. So you better be very confident. One of the other things that Trey Lance doesn't get enough credit for is the scouts are raving about the mental side of the game. At North Dakota State, they have a pro-style approach in the way that they make you prepare for the game. He calls checks at the line. He does a lot of stuff that guys at bigger name programs aren't asked to do. And so one of the things that's been consistently talked about kind of on the NFL side of things is how mentally strong he is, despite not having as many games and despite being a little bit younger and playing at the FCS level. So he's raw, but his upside is significantly higher than Mac Jones.
Yeah, and so I'm going to jump in and not entirely disagree with you, but kind of play a little devil's advocate here. And this is something that I was actually hoping we would get into, so this is a good spot to do it, right? And it's really Trey Lance and Mac Jones are kind of the antithesis of each other. In the sense that from a fantasy perspective, you love Trey Lance and you love the Trey Lance upside. You love the rushing ability. You love the kind of Konami code type of ability, even though I hate that. Like, I'm learning to hate that phrase because it gets used a lot. But that type of ability, and the raw ability with Trey Lance is absolutely massive. And we had raw ability discussions when Josh Allen came out, for example, kind of a similar situation, smaller school, ton of raw ability. The statistical numbers are better for Trey Lance than they were for Josh Allen coming out. But it all goes down to, how do we evaluate for fantasy versus how do NFL teams evaluate? And I think that's probably where the biggest disparity is going to be, is between a Mac Jones and a Trey Lance. Because Mac Jones, you got the success at Alabama. Like you said, Matt, old school coaches are going to love him. If he's protected by the offensive line, he's accurate and on time, and he is scared shitless when it does have a very quick trigger when he's under pressure. But I think that some NFL minds still value that type of quarterback more so than the raw type of athletic upside you get out of Trey Lance, where you can get creative and then coach him into it, a la what the Cardinals are doing with Kyler Murray. So, I think that's kind of where the statement comes from, though, and where the disparity is it's just, how do you evaluate for the NFL versus how do you evaluate for fantasy? Because those are two very different things.
Right.
So, And I think in some NFL circles, I could see the allure of a guy like Mac Jones. I keep saying that he's the perfect Bears quarterback. Check it down at the line, let your playmakers do the work.
Right.
Run scared for your life, even though he can't really run. So that's just kind of my thoughts on it, though. Like, I don't disagree that this statement could happen, and I don't disagree with anything you said about Lance being the higher upside quarterback. It's just the way that the NFL values some of these guys versus the way we do, looking at it through a fantasy lens instead.
And it's important when talking about the NFL draft, too, to realize, kind of the common phrase is it only takes one team, right? It only takes one team to make you a top 10 pick.
Right.
We talked about it with Jalen Reagor last year. Jalen Reagor went in the first round. Most of the NFL rumors were that they bid against themselves and they could have got him at that same pick in the second round, but Jalen Reagor was a first rounder because Philadelphia took him there. And it's the same concept. If Washington wants to move up into the top 10 because the top 4 quarterbacks are off the board, or even if they just want to move up to get Mac Jones because they think somebody else is going to get him, if they think the Patriots are going to get him, so they move up and take him instead, then he's drafted higher than Trey Lance. But we've seen countless examples of that doesn't make you the better NFL quarterback, right?
Mitch Trubisky being probably the biggest one that comes to mind of you bid against yourself, you come up, and it doesn't make you the better quarterback.
Right, Trubisky, Russell Wilson, 3rd round pick, Dak Prescott, day 2 pick. So, there's countless examples, but the other thing to keep in mind when it comes to this discussion with Mac Jones is, you think about teams like Washington. Look at what's built around them. They have a really good defense. They have some good playmakers on offense. Not a ton of good ones, but enough to get by. So can they get by with just a guy that hands off the ball, like you were saying? The Bears, another good, even to a degree, the Patriots. If your team doesn't want to win with their offense, they want to win with their defense and controlling the ball. A guy who might not turn the ball over.
San Francisco.
Yeah, sure. San Francisco. Well, I don't know. I give Shanahan a little bit more credit than that, but just the idea that some teams don't think you need your quarterback to win.
Yeah.
And if you're one of those teams, you could get away with drafting Mac Jones, and he could probably hand the ball off and toss it enough times, toss it 30 times a game. And at the NFL level, as long as you're not throwing turnovers, you're probably going to keep your job.
Yeah. And not to freeze Dan out here from this discussion, I'm not sure if he wants to jump in or if he's just listening.
I will when you guys are done.
But
I will.
The other thing about Mac Jones that I try to be cognizant of, I guess, is not doing what I did with Deshaun Watson and discounting the fact that there is value in knowing how to win and, playing on winning teams in college, having that mental toughness to know how to win. And I think that's something that he does have, even though the ability doesn't back it up. Now, obviously, completely different players, right? But
you know who didn't lose a lot in college? Trey Lance.
Trey Lance.
Trey Lance. He didn't lose at all. National champion, undefeated. In a playoff.
I just have nightmares about the Central Arkansas game.
It wasn't great.
Yeah, no, there should have been he had one college interception, and it made me believe in miracles again. Let's put it that way, because he should have
throw it out the window.
He should have had way more. But regardless, I'm not trying to take anything away from him, but I just see that sided, and I'm like, yeah, well, there is a little bit of dumb luck involved with that one too. So, Dan.
All right, my turn.
Yeah, it could have been your turn 3 times over.
No. There's this is like game review, like old school game reviews, where there's so much that was said that I don't really need to say anymore. I think we're going to see. I think we're going to see at least 5. I think we'll see 5 quarterbacks go top 10, probably top 12. I think you'll see, however you view the top 4, that final 5, because there seems to be a large gap between whoever that 5th ranked quarterback is and Kyle Trask. And not like it in my mind there is, but it seems like in the collective NFL minds that's going to be the case. I don't see a quarterback slipping.
I don't know that there's that big of a gap between Trask and Jones, honestly.
Well, that's fine, but I think it's how the NFL feels it.
Yeah.
I think Trask is easily a day 2 pick. And I think what Jones did with Bama his one and only season playing there. I mean, he's now posted the highest college QBR of all time. Doesn't necessarily mean much of anything except that most of the quarterbacks that have been top 12 quarterbacks in fantasy have posted these incredibly high QBRs. But that's really because he knew how to play within the system that he was asked to play. Why do you need to do more when you can just get the ball to Jalen Waddle and Devonta Smith and Najee Harris and the rest of the playmakers on there? And I think that's what he'll end up doing at the next level. I mean, I think there's a wider chance of him busting if he lands at a team like New England, who doesn't have shit for playmakers around them. Maybe Carolina, takes that risk. There's been rumors of them liking Mac Jones landing there, and they got playmakers across the board on top of the draft picks that they have already that they can add to those, to their draft class to make Mac Jones a little more successful. I would think Joe Brady would have a decent idea, or not Brady, but Matt Rule would have a decent idea to get the most out of a guy like Mac Jones. But Hopper knows how much I love Trey Lance, especially his fantasy upside and the fact that he's basically a more polished version of Josh Allen coming out, at least in terms of collegiate production. Not what Josh Allen is now, but in terms of collegiate, in terms of what he was as a college prospect coming into the pros. He looks better, and that should give people a fucking boner to think about, especially for fantasy. In terms of what he'll actually be in the NFL from an actual NFL standpoint, fine, but from a fantasy standpoint for at least his first 3 years, because he'll probably get a chance to play at some point in his first season, should make you happy.
Yeah. One more just before we put a bow on this. Good points on the game plan. There's one thing that I point out any chance that I've gotten to discuss Mac Jones is what a good job Steve Sarkisian did game planning around Mac Jones' limitations and game planning around the fact that he's scared of pressure and game planning to move that pocket and to give him time. And you're really going to have to do that for him at the NFL level. One more thing on Trey Lance. This is just the fair shot that as high as everybody else is on him, I'll probably seem like I'm shitting on him a lot over the offseason. And it's not because I don't like him. It's not because I don't think he's top 4. It's just because there are some people that have him as high as 1. And somebody's got to pour some cold water on some things every now and again.
I would be, I won't go that crazy. There, he is in that boom bust here with a Zach Wilson and a Trey Lance. And he doesn't feel as sort of a prospect as a Lawrence or Fields, at least, to me. I know that Hopper feels
Zach Wilson's where my flag is this year. He's my Josh Allen. I mean,
I want to have to Zach Wilson. Basically, Zach Wilson is your Trey Lance, and that we both love the prospects, but apparently you only like so many prospects. You can't, at some point you have to hate on somebody, I guess, but.
It's usually just when you're lower than the rest of the community, even though you don't hate the prospect, is when it comes off that way. So I'm okay with being that guy.
Because God forbid we just can't use tier rankings instead of actual rankings.
Yep. God forbid. 17 game schedule. I think we all expected that to happen. Yep. Deshaun Watson loses around $20.2 million if he's going to sit out 2021. I don't think that requires a lot of discussion.
Nope.
I mean, he'll make more than that later. So, Drew Brees may be coming back now. Might not actually retire. We'll see. I don't know that we need to debate it. Drew Brees comes back. He's not really a fantasy viable option. You're not doing it much with him in Dynasty. Edelman unsure if he's healthy enough to play the 2021 season. Should he just call it? At least in New England.
Dang, I didn't see that. I still have a lot of Julian Edelman shares hanging around.
He's going to find his way to Tampa Bay, just complete.
Oh my gosh!
I mean, right?
Oh man,
because that's the dream destination. Season? Dude, I want it to be Tyler Johnson's season so fucking bad, and that's
I guess it'd be more Scotty Miller. I don't know,
and that's not because of all the football cards I keep buying of Tyler Johnson on the low. So.
I think it would be more Scotty Miller. And Miller and Brady kind of had that rapport. But, I mean, Edelman doesn't...
what happens to Chris Godwin?
Edelman is going to be what, 32, 33?
35?
Is he?
I think I saw.
He's up there, man. Kent State legend. Don't forget, he came out of Kent State, round 7, I believe.
Yep.
He's up there and struggling to come back from an injury. And then you're going back to a rebuilding Patriots team. Just not something
just a bad looking team all around.
It's a bad situation for him. If I was him, I'd call it. Anyway,
or at least try to call it from New England. I would try to get out of that fucking.
Yeah. Texans released Duke Johnson. So
imagine ever having owned Duke Johnson.
He'll go to
hey now.
He'll go to Arizona.
He's gonna go to Tampa Bay. He's get paired up again with Bruce Arians.
You know what though? Like they could use him in Arizona. They actually could.
No, that's where I want Gainwell to go. Just leave Arizona alone. Let my favorite running back prospect go there.
Yeah. All right. Moving along to some of the other discussion points. Matt, there's been something that is that's been weighing on my mind here that I need to ask you based on your film analysis and all the film grinding you've done. I'm super anxious to get your opinion on this.
Just for the record, by other talking points, he means there's nothing else on this show document. So,
yeah, no,
it's empty. We have gone through the show doc, guys.
We're flying off the cuff now.
Page.
We're flying off the cuff now. So based on all your analysis, though, what would you consider to be the most overrated flavor of chicken wing?
Most overrated flavor of chicken wing. Let's see. This is gonna spark some controversy. Don't put barbecue on my chicken wing. What? Give me barbecue or give me a chicken wing. I don't need barbecue on my chicken wing.
You want dry rub?
Well, I don't mind dry rub, but
he's hating on honey. He's hating on honey barbecue, is what he's doing.
Oh, honey barbecue is trash. Don't even.
The fuck?
What the fuck?
All right, just give me the shortest show. Thank you guys again for tuning in to Beerfield.
Don't you live in Missouri, Hopper?
I'm back in Illinois now, but I'm still right on the river.
Okay, so you're in good barbecue territory though. Just eat your damn barbecue as barbecue. I am
in good barbecue territory. You're right, but smoked chicken wings with some St. Louis sweet barbecue sauce on them, fucking delicious. I don't know.
Just put that sauce on some pulled chicken.
It's all right. I'm gonna get an equal amount of hate with all the different spins and flavors you could put on something. I'm not a fan of your just traditional mild, medium, and hot, generic-ass hot sauces, right? You got different peppers you can throw in things to throw some different flavor profiles to it. You can spice them up a little bit with, I'm a big fan of garlic parm, but you can throw in some, teriyaki is actually kind of trash. Don't go teriyaki. But different dry rubs, bunch of different things you can add into sauces. And, while there's something said for try and true, I think that traditional hot sauces are just a little bit boring.
Here's the question, and I already know you're going to give me the wrong answer. Are we dipping it in ranch or blue cheese?
So, if you're a blue cheese guy, I'm going to throw shit. It's ranch. It's always ranch. I'm from the Midwest, man.
Dip it in sauce.
I know. That's why I already said you were going to give me the wrong answer. Give me the chunkiest blue cheese you can find.
Yeah, see, Midwest, dude. It's all ranch here. All ranch. Superior
ranch.
Superior dipping sauce.
Always.
But goodness. It's like, and I think it's something.
Ranch is the Mac Jones of dipping sauces.
No,
blue cheese is a cow trash.
You know what you're gonna get?
Fucking dipping sauce.
It's gross.
Most of the time, it's fine. You can get away with it, but it's not the star. No, give me the chunky blue cheese. That's the Trey Lance.
It's funny because I was gonna say that Trey Lance is in overrated. It's funny because
underappreciated.
It's funny because I was gonna say that hot sauce is or your traditional hot sauces are like the Davis Webbs of chicken wings.
Davis fucking Webb.
Davis Webb. Why you gotta do
blue
that?
Cheese is kind of like the Josh Dobbs.
How dare you, sir? Sir, how dare you?
Oh, you went there.
I had to go there. You're shitting on ranch. time for me to double back to
Can we just
Josh Dobbs.
agree that Chipotle Ranch is like the Blake Bortles of dipping sauces? It's you just build on superiority. It's exciting.
It makes you happy and cry at the same time, and then go take a painful shit afterwards. Is that kind of what it is?
Well, Hopper, I'm sure you could see since you brought him up. I got my Jason Mendoza pop with the Blake Bortles jersey.
Actually, hold on.
Me.
I got something for this. I'll be right back.
I didn't know we were going to get into Blake Bortles today, but I'm happy to see the Jacksonville number 5 right there.
How are you shocked that we got into Blake Bortles?
You're right. I should have known better.
Yeah, it's if there's one thing that I know of doing 5 years of podcasting with Hopper, if he has a chance to bring up one of his favorite prospects up or
It's
shit
a
on a
Blake
Prospect he hates, yes.
He's got a Blake Bortles
I
pop.
actually have a Blake Bortles pop. Dan got this for us, I'm pretty sure.
Oh yeah, was that year one?
That was
I think that was year one or
year
going
one.
into year 2.
Yeah, I have an actual Blake Bortles pop.
That's amazing. That's fantastic.
It's called True Love. You gotta know who your boo is.
I do also have the Blake Bortles jersey sitting upstairs.
That's fantastic.
He just loves himself some really awesome quarterbacks.
Blake Bortles and Drew Lock in the same quarterback room was a wet dream. Blake Bortles throwing to Cooper Kupp, also a wet dream.
Drew Lock's the truth. We'll see.
True Lock.
Drew Lock is the truth.
True Lock. Oh my god.
Oh my god.
All right. Next question. Random question. Matt, we know, well, at least I know, and I know that Chris knows. Our listeners, if you don't know, Matt loves to grind the film. Absolutely loves to grind tape.
He'd get kicked out of a
He
bar
does-
for grinding film the way that he
Yeah.
grinds film.
Yeah, like it belongs in a strip club. That's how much he likes to grind film. If you weren't so big into football, if football wasn't your life, what would you be grinding? What would the hobby be that you would be grinding aggressively on to reach a point of being one of the best at it?
That's a good question.
Synchronized swimming.
Can I just say I did an AMA last week, and I feel like I'm just doing an AMA part.
By the way, this doesn't have to be one-sided. You can throw bullshit at us, too, if you really want to.
Yeah, like this is all. We're just here to have a good time.
Oh yeah, no, that's I love throwing bullshit at Hopper. Let's see. Before the pandemic, this is gonna also sound terrible, but I got like really into running. I've kind of fallen off a little bit. I had to get back on it, but I almost got to the half marathon point. I finished a 12-mile race, so that took a lot of effort to get to that point. So. But the pandemic has been a lot more indoor activities, so grinding the tape has gotten a little bit easier, time-wise, and I've needed to pick back up on the running side of things. That might be a decent answer.
I can't wait for you to break down how to run based off of the tape you've grinded watching people run. You're gonna point out fucking calf movement.
Actually,
you see that? This is why it's the best at it.
It's a real thing, though, and I still do it because I was a cross-country and track runner in high school, and form has a lot to do with efficiency and speed efficiency, and it's not something that you see a whole lot of people being bad at the collegiate level, because if you are, then you don't really get out of the high school level, but you definitely notice things like you notice acceleration more, you notice long striders more, you notice footwork a little bit more, and really body posture as people are going through it a little bit more is some stuff I pick up on it. And I still like when I see a jogger, we'll just critique them. I'm like, their arms are crossing their body, they're working against themselves. That piece of shit as I eat my Taco Bell and
I was gonna say,
go to the next Backstreet Boys song.
like when I'm driving down the road, or even if I'm walking the dog and I see somebody running, I literally in my head I just scream why are you better than me, every single time. So I think I have the opposite reaction.
Secretly hate them as they run by you. I wish
Right.
it was you right now.
I'm look at you working out.
That was me.
Well, While I drive to get my 4th coffee of the day.
Meanwhile, I'm like Al Bundy over here. I'm like, yeah, that was me. That I did that one. I ran this time as a PR in high school. I'm better than you, even though I couldn't do anything close to it nowadays.
But you did one time.
One time. That's what matters. I did it at one time. Dan, that's a good question, though, because, like, for me, I don't know what... I mean, I have a day job that I grind pretty hard at, so I guess I would probably just put more effort into that, and my boss listens to this sometimes, so he's probably sitting there like, why the hell don't you do that? But...
no, but you should pick something that's not your job, because I almost said something like that, too, but, you know...
Well, and I have something...
mine's pretty simple. So.
I'd probably work more towards... I'd probably do more towards perfecting and grinding away at the homebrew side of things. It's something I dabble in with a pretty basic understanding. Like, I haven't gotten into water chemistry, or I'm just starting to break into like temperature control, and I haven't gotten into pH control, and really a whole lot in yeast strains or nutrient or things like that. So I'd probably grind that up to the next level instead of just like, yeah, I know how to do this and this is fun. I'd probably try to bump that up to expert. I'm a man of hobbies, though, Dan, as you know. I've got, like, outside of my full-time job and being father to an infant, I have, like, 3 other things that occupy my time. So
he's a man of hobbies. That's what he is. And don't call me an infant, okay? You do a great job, man. No, I would probably play more World of Warcraft.
Yes, great choice.
Just because I love this era that we're playing right now. And I'd probably play a lot more disc golf. I would probably be in better shape because I would actually go and play disc golf in what some would consider the off season, which there is no off season. You just play. If it snows, and fuck it, you just don't use a white disc
or a yellow disc.
Or yeah, like I've lost plenty of discs. Like I picked disc golf, like to play disc golf over golf because I thought it would cost less, and it does. And I thought
only because you don't have greens fees.
Yeah, yeah, right. And because it costs significantly less to buy discs than actual golf balls, even though you're getting more golf balls in the pack, you tend to lose even more. Which I didn't think I would lose as many discs, but yeah, that's a real thing. Pawns are a bitch, and then for some reason they just they disappear to another dimension.
They're just going after him. Dudley swims with gators to get his back.
I know, God.
Idiot.
Fucking hardcore over there.
Yeah, he is.
But yeah, I would probably put more focus into that. I don't tend to focus on just one thing. I'll when I'm working on my database, I'm fucking listening to other podcasts or checking Twitter and then laughing at really bad takes. Or just retweeting a bunch of shit. So that's what I'm good for.
Yeah, and before you say anything, Matt, those really bad takes aren't all mine.
He's not on there enough. I do see some
I tweet in bursts. If you haven't noticed,
you do tweet in bursts.
Saturday, I'll fire off 7 things, and then I'll do nothing for like 6 days, and then I'll fire off 9 more things, and then there'll be nothing for. Yeah,
he pops in for just a fucking oozy amount of topics that he brings up. And then
it depends on what I'm doing that day. If I'm tweeting a lot, it's probably because I chose that day to watch film.
That's true.
Matt, bold quarterback predictions for this offseason. So, obviously, quarterback carousel's happening. I'm pretty sure there's going to be something that falls that nobody's expecting. What's your bold prediction for quarterback change?
Man, I want Marcus Mariota to be a starting quarterback again.
Right?
I think he will be.
I think he could be, man. I mean, I know we only saw a little bit of him in Vegas, but I think he got the raw end of the deal there. I think he was just misused in Tennessee down the stretch, and the coaching staff wasn't effective. And I got to imagine, man, if I'm one of these teams, like we were just talking about San Francisco, why are you going to kick the tires on Teddy B when you could kick the tires on Mariota? You know what I mean? So yeah. I would love to see him again.
Where did he sign? Washington, right?
Mariota?
Yeah.
No, he's still in Vegas.
He's still in Vegas. He's under contract. Okay. He's got to be traded, I think.
I thought he signed another deal somewhere.
There was rumors that he was going to be released. I think maybe that's what you're picking up on. But as far as I know, he's still with Vegas.
Yeah, he's still under contract, I believe.
But I mean, you can't tell me Carr's job is safe.
No, it
No,
can't,
because
it
I
can't
think
be.
I mean
There were trade rumors about him earlier in the year, and then those have kind of been shut down. But media's the media.
Raiders have been like the Panthers. They've been linked to so many different quarterbacks that are quote unquote on that are asking to be moved to different teams. Why am I looking at them? Never mind. Topper, what's your bold prediction?
It's a little bit of a tough one. I'm going to go with Jameis Winston starting someplace that isn't New Orleans.
Gross.
Oh, there's another one of my loves. I think that, and he's going to throw under 17 interceptions wherever he lands.
Okay, well, we know that's not true.
I think that the LASIK.
Oh, is he playing backup again?
I think that the
He's going to Chicago.
LASIK surgery that he hasn't gotten a chance to show off yet did wonders.
He's going to Chicago.
You try going out there and throwing a football when you can't see.
I don't think that's the problem.
You're not Jameis, so you don't know.
I guess I technically do not know.
He had 30 touchdowns, too. I'm just saying, 5,000 plus yards. I mean, you get rid of the interceptions. I hate that argument, by the way. You take away this one stat, and this guy was great.
Yeah, if you just take away 15 of the games he played in a 2-game sample during weeks 3 and 14 in the third quarter, that man looked good.
On third down.
Against the 2 worst defenses in the league.
Yeah, but enough about David Montgomery.
Oh, nice.
Dan, do you have one?
I think Derek Carr is gone out of Las Vegas.
Bears will
Whether
trade
it's via
3/3
trade.
for him, and I'll cry myself to sleep.
That's right. Whether that be via trade or just a flat out cut. I think Vegas is one of the teams that moves, that potentially tries to trade up and get one of these quarterbacks that may slip out of the top 10, or at least that potential 9 or 10 spot where Denver, Dallas lies.
Sure.
I can't wait to see whose career Chicago wastes.
Well, that's why I wanted to get a bridge quarterback, and then let's get the new regime in there and let them figure out what they're gonna,
So it's
who they're
Sam
gonna waste
Howell.
instead. Don't figure it
Sam.
out this year, though. I think they fucked up by not just getting rid
easily.
of Pace and Nagy this year and having a reset when Trubisky had to go. I think by letting Trubisky walk but keeping Pace and Nagy there, you set yourself up to get off on the wrong foot, even when you do bring in a new head coach and GM.
Way to pick this year too, which is one of the better, quarterback, at least from top to depth wise, to not hit the reset button.
The fucking problem is they want enough.
Yeah, they need to. They would need to move up pretty far. They could though.
They could.
Yeah, let's do that again. That worked out so well last time.
Don't worry, you'll get a Sam Howell or Spencer Rattler next year. Keaton Slope or Matt's boy JT Daniels.
Hey, now.
How sad would that make you, Matt, if the Bears drafted and then potentially wasted JT Daniels?
They're gonna waste somebody. I like Jaden Daniels, not JT.
Jaden,
Daniels.
I'm sorry, Jaden.
But
That's my bad.
yeah, no, don't waste Jaden Daniels. You can waste JT.
You can
Daniels.
waste JT Daniel all you want.
That actually kind of checks out. Honestly, that
Yeah, it
kind of
does.
checks out. Like Georgia's offense is to the SEC as the Bears' offense has been to the NFC. So that's actually a pretty good landing spot for JT Daniels.
Look at me, just completely fuck up, but yet still,
No,
find
you
a way to
nailed
be
it.
right.
Isn't
I nailed it?
that normally how it goes?
It really is. Like, I can make some questionable decisions, and then somehow, some way, I find myself right.
I don't need another, was it Antonio Brown situation?
Yeah.
I mean, you did end up being right. It just took 2 years.
That's right. Somehow, some way. All right, Matt, I want you, or we're all going to do it. Matt, we'll start with you. I want you to rank these 2019 rookie running backs in terms of who you would want the most on your dynasty roster right now, obviously we'll just do PPR scoring because fuck standard. We're going to rank the top three, most people's top three. Josh Jacobs, Miles Sanders, and David Montgomery. Who do you want the most? Rank them in order.
Pass. No, I'm just kidding. Miles Sanders is my highest ranked. I still believe in his upside, especially in PPR formats, even though Philadelphia is a dumpster fire. Josh Jacobs is next, and Josh Jacobs is a guy I'm only riding out to the end of his first contract. I really don't think he's going to be anybody. No. I don't think he's going to be worth anything on that second contract.
Nope.
And David Montgomery is like 3 running backs down in my rankings.
I just pulled them up too. I should have probably, checked this.
Oh, it's fine, man. It's great, using the rankings. That's the whole point.
Right.
But Montgomery's just fine, man. Like, he's fine. And I don't want to pay for it because there's going to be guys who hype him up in every league. And so I'm not going to pay for it.
For me, argument's a little close between Jacobs and Sanders. I'll put Jacobs up top just because until Vegas tells us otherwise, he's going to have, I think, probably the best insulated touch amount out of the rest of them. Out of everyone, Philly, new coaching staff, will kind of have to see how they break down their usage, but I think there's a certain amount of security in the touches that Vegas and Gruden will give to Josh Jacobs. Sanders definitely has a higher upside, especially once you get Jalen Hurts in there to where they have to worry about the option and to where they have to worry about Hurts as a runner too. I think that's going to open things up a little bit more for Miles Sanders as long as the usage follows. I think that he definitely has the highest upside out of the group. And David Montgomery, we saw at the end of the year against some bad run defenses with a reworked offensive line how good he can be. But a lot of things the Bears have to do right this offseason for David Montgomery to realize, again, what he was at the end of last season. And I have absolutely zero confidence that they're going to do the things that they need to do for David Montgomery to realize what he was at the end of last season. And it's kind of your prototypical NFL back nowadays where he kind of goes, as the offensive line goes, like he can break tackles. We were right about that. The difference is in the NFL, everybody's faster. By the time you break the first tackle, you got 2 more right there, and you're averaging 3 yards a carry. So that's kind of where it breaks down for Montgomery for me, though, is that I just think that you can't guarantee enough's going to go right around him for him to have value to be anywhere near what Sanders or Jacobs is. But I'm really fine with Jacobs or Sanders in any order.
Yeah, so I'm right there with you guys. I would have Sanders and Jacobs pretty much a 1A, 1B. I do agree with Hopper that I think Jacobs has the more insulated touch, I guess, volume until Vegas proves us otherwise, and I just don't see them taking a running back of note in the first 3 rounds. As for Sanders, it is the rushing upside. It was the insane, kind of production premium that he gave to the fantasy owners last year, where it was 1 or 2 big plays. He really took off, and I think a full offseason with their number 1 quarterback, if the Eagles don't fuck up this draft and take a quarterback at 6, because I don't think that's out of the question just yet. But a full offseason of Jalen Hurts is going to help this offense as they shift to what Hurts' strength is, and you could potentially see the Sanders being the Dobbins / Ingram was to Lamar Jackson over the past 2 seasons, and what that can do for a rushing offense, and then of course touchdown upside. Then Montgomery, I'm right there with you guys. I think with Tariq Cohen coming back, the whole team seems it's like the one last hurrah. Well, I think Montgomery might be leaned on heavier to his success that he showed last year. He's just like Jacobs, so just not as athletic as some of the other guys out there, and I think that's going to hinder them. I don't see Montgomery, getting 20-plus touches a game. So they're all either way. They're all sells to me if you can get rid of them. especially Josh Jacobs. You can try to leverage what could be two more seasons of touch volume.
Fair enough. Speaking of running back, kind of weak spot in this year's draft. So, to me, I look at the running back class, and there's just not. To me, there's not a guaranteed holy crap, this guy's a surefire he's the 101, and he's guaranteed to, in 2 to 3 years from now, be the guy we're talking about as the 101. I think for most people it's Najee Harris, but there's also the whole, there's still holes there, right? And there's still path to failure for Najee Harris. So, who are some guys you're looking at, Matt, that have stood out to you through your film evaluation, through what you've done, that you're actually comfortable with, at any tier for these running backs?
Yeah, there's 2 guys I'm comfortable with, and the list ends at 2. And the first one is Najee Harris. I love Najee Harris. I do think he's a guy who's going to be a stud and stand out 3-4 years down the line. For me, it's so impressive the way that he combines strength in between the tackles. I mean, he absolutely barrels over guys with athleticism and pass catching ability. He is super agile. He's 6'1", 230. And the way he moves around the field, he looks like some of these guys that are moving around at 205, 210. He is super agile, super fluid. And I've gone out there, on record a few times that Najee Harris is my favorite pass catching back in this year's class. I really think he's the most talented one. He's got really consistent hands. I know everyone loves Kenny Gainwell. Gainwell's up there. But the way that Najee Harris goes out, and Alabama will not only run him on wheel routes. First off, he'll go out there on wheel routes and jump up and win contested catches. He's consistent in the flat. But Alabama will also line him up out wide and have him run comeback routes at times. And again, this man's 230, and he breaks SEC defenders with his comeback route. It's absolutely wild. So I'll oftentimes, kind of make the comment that if you covered up Najee Harris's number when he was playing out wide, you think he's a wide receiver in the way that he beats SEC DBs. So he's far and away my running back one. I feel very confident in that. And then the only other guy that I would feel very confident in, definitely is going to make an impact for fantasy purposes is Travis Etienne. At 5'10", 210. I think we've just gotten bored of Etienne as a community because last year we were so excited about him and we were ready to rank him over guys like Cam Akers and CEH and even J.K. Dobbins. And some folks even over Jonathan Taylor and DeAndre Swift. And nothing's changed in the year since Travis Etienne. He still has home run explosion. He still has great acceleration. If anything, he's just shown us that he's a good pass catcher. So I think, Najee Harris is probably going to go in the teens in the NFL draft in the first round. And I wouldn't be surprised if Etienne sneaks in the back end of that day one conversation. Ooh. So I think once we see that draft capital hit, these are going to be guys that we really like.
You really think we're going to get the 2 running backs?
Yeah.
Well, so here's the thing. I think Najee Harris deserves to go in the teens. I think his skill set and the need in the NFL makes sense in that territory. I don't think Travis Etienne necessarily does have that same, value point. But once the first running back goes off the board, I think it's going to push Etienne up in terms of a team getting anxious and wanting to get their running back. Because as much as I know folks are high on Javonte Williams, Kenneth Gainwell, Chuba Hubbard, I don't think NFL teams are going to be interested in that tier drop off. So I think they're going to want Harris or Etienne if they want to leave the draft with a running back that they can start right away.
Do you have any concerns about Travis Etienne's weight? Because I know there was conversations, I want to say last year, that his playing weight was sub 200. And we, as a community, that 200, pound is that true benchmark, at least for a lot of analytical profiles and what is shown to be historic results of top 24 finishes. And, if you're under that, it kind of speaks to us thinking that he's not going to be a true traditional 3-down back. I do agree with you, though. I do think that he is going to find him. I honestly think there's a real chance that he's the first running back off the board. If you're talking about running backs that could go first round, we've seen mistakes made. We've seen Stoney Michel go above Nick Chubb. We've seen Josh Jacobs be reached on in the first round. We know that teams will find a way to fall in love with the guy and they'll take him. And a team like, at pick 12 with San Francisco, a team that could trade down, they may fall in love with a guy like Travis Etienne. And I said, I don't think it's a far stretch, which means I'm putting money on. I'm going to bet on Travis Etienne as the first back taken just because of the odds. But
the size doesn't bother me. I'm at 5'10", 210. That is the most recent weigh-in we have at NFL Draft Bible, and we tend to have a little bit of inside information there when it comes to his size. So I feel pretty confident in that number.
Yeah, that's
I'll
what I've got.
Change my 205.
That's what I've got him at too. Is 5'10", 210, which has him at 30.1 BMI. It's actually, when evaluating running backs, I make fun of BMI. I look at BMI for running backs because it's actually shown to have a correlation that actually is a touch better than what Harris's is at 210. So even if he does go down to 205, I mean, I don't have those concerns either. And Matt, there has been so much hate on Etienne that I'm really happy to hear you say that, because there is a lot in Etienne that I liked. It's just the fact that I think people have gotten bored with the fact that he is consistent. He's well-rounded. He doesn't necessarily have super elite speed. He doesn't necessarily have game-breaking type of agility or ability. He's not going to run like Marshawn Lynch and run people over, or even Javonte Williams in this class. He's not going to out-juke people, but what he does do is he's got good vision. He gets small at the line. He doesn't miss holes. He's a good pass catcher, good contact balance, good ability in pass protection, and a good one-cut downhill type of runner that can work out on the edges. And I think that he's very, very solid, a lot in the same ways, if not a touch better than what Edwards-Helaire was, is solid coming out. So, I mean, I really like Etienne. Outside of Harris, another guy that stood out that's kind of going to be like, I'm planting my flag in this, and right now, obviously, draft capital and landing spot and all that, notwithstanding, that changes things. I might be alone in this the more I see, but I like Kylan Hill quite a bit. And, especially if he lands in a similar type of offense, which is becoming more widely adopted at the NFL level. Like, let's say Kylan Hill goes to Arizona, for example. I'm going to freaking love it. He's, to me, was explosive, good acceleration, speed, and agility, so he had a good combo there. Solid in pass protection, good pass catcher, both flat and in the intermediate. He thought that his route running was pretty solid. Set up blocks wells in the open field, made some guys miss, kept his feet moving between the tackles, gets downhill, sees his holes. Now, he is better outside and in space than he is between the tackles, so he's got to land on the right offense. But there is a world where I end up very comfortable with Kylan Hill as well.
I like Kylan Hill a lot. He's 31 on the big board right now. He's running back 9. I have him above some, like Jamar Jefferson. Everybody loves Jamar Jefferson. I have Kylan Hill above Jamar Jefferson. The thing about Kylan Hill, and I was covering the SEC in 2019 for a site, and that's when Kylan Hill was really going off for Mississippi State. So I kind of got a firsthand look at him, and he's somebody who he literally declared for the 2020 NFL draft, ended up coming back, and he was the Mississippi State offense in 2019. That offense was garbage. Yeah, and Kylan Hill was the offense. He's got athleticism. He's got good contact balance. And he comes back and he ends up playing for Mike Leach for like 3 games in just a wild season. And I mean, Mike Leach pretty much cleaned house mid-season there. But he transitioned to being in a very pro-style, boring offense and being the guy that got the ball 20 times a game. And then the next season, he's out there playing in Mike Leach's air raid offense, and his hands look damn good. When they put him in space, he's 5'11", 215. When they put him in space, he showed the ability. Yeah, he showed the – so, I don't know, Hopper, what his draft capital is going to be, But, he could be one of these guys that ends up going day 3 in the draft and starts for an NFL roster, a year or two down the line, because we see that all the time at the running back position specifically. So
I think
I see the upside.
It's like, oh God, why am I blanking on his name? Dolphins, Washington State, or Washington.
No, out of Washington. Oh, Miles Gaskin.
Gaskin.
Yeah. He was Washington.
Yeah, sorry, purple.
Purple. Yeah,
purple.
The Huskies.
Yeah, Miles Gaskin is in a career arc that if he goes it's kind of that type of thing where if he goes day 3, I'm still not super concerned as long as he has a clear path to being the second or the third back on that roster, from the fact that that's just going to make him steal at the end of rookie drafts.
Right.
So
I mean, countless examples. Chris Carson, Philip Lindsay. Like, there's countless examples at the running back position. And how many rosters is there not somebody good there, and they still get a shot? Like, why was LaMichael Pirine getting carries last year? Like, you know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah. I'm with you. He's not even as good as Samaje.
Yeah. He loves the Pirine family.
I hated LaMichael.
We all did. Obviously, you guys don't mind with Gainwell. I personally think, so when I started watching and trying to, tracking college production last year, I started with the running backs. I believe the 2019 backs. Gainwell was a redshirt freshman. So his name was one of the first ones to pop up. It started with the freshman, not the true freshman class, but just freshmen in general. And what Gainwell was able to accomplish with Memphis just absolutely sticks out. You turn on the film and you don't see, a Max Borghi type of running back usage where it's all fucking short area design plays to get him the football with no actual threat to it. And with Gainwell, it's all over the place. Back shoulder catches, lining up in the slot, lining up out wide. He's strong in the tackles, strong contact balance. He's actually really fairly elusive in the open field. And while his biggest concern is obviously size, and that's going to be the one thing that, that kind of keeps him from approaching the top 3 for me, I will own shares of Gainwell. I already have him in debut leagues. I'm going to take him in rookie drafts to the best of my ability. Because what he was able to accomplish as a 19-year-old freshman is unbelievable. What he was able to accomplish as a true freshman in 2018, taking touches away from a Darrell Henderson, from a Tony Pollard, was able to hold back more so than Antonio Gibson. Obviously, he's not on Gibson's level. He's not built the same way as Gibson. Gibson was built for today's NFL. Gainwell was someone I planted my flag on it very, very early. And if he can somehow find a way to come in at 200 pounds, because I don't think he's 5'11". He looks more 5'9" than 5'11". Matt, but do you have any updated measurements on him at this point? I got him at 5'11", 191, and that's just based off of, I think, Memphis's.
That's what I had him at, was 5'11", 191.
Yeah, we have him at 5'11", 191. Okay. Let me double check on that. See if
there hasn't been much out on him, but
because he's because of the opt out, he kind of scooted under the radar a little bit, so he hasn't been necessarily weighing in as often. But I think the chatter is that he's not 191. The kind of common consensus here is that he is below that.
You think he's okay? Oof, yeah, that's he. And that's the one concern, is that he might end up, and I'm not going to say he's Donald Pumphrey because obviously he's not going to be that light, but he's a hyper productive, undersized running back. Where that's where my concern lies in, and what's keeping him out of my top 3 is my number 4. I teeter back and forth. It's going to depend on what Jamar Jefferson tests at, because I like Jefferson's profile. I have concerns about how athletic he actually is, and I don't know if he tests poorly. If he tests like David Montgomery, which is what I saw when I watched his film, he's not going day 2. And then if he goes day 3, I'm not that interested. So, but in terms of Gainwell, I think his skill set, regardless of his weight, he's going to be a day 2 back. I think he's just too important as a pass catcher and what could give an offense an edge, coming out of the backfield with a team like Arizona who likes to spread out, who likes to run that spread offense. I do think Gainwell goes day 2.
So I do baseline gating, and Dan, you know this, but for Matt, I do baseline gating on prospects before I ever watch film on them, basically just based on the last 10 years worth of success and really picking out what type of metrics and productivity metrics matter and where there's a drop off and are they above or below that line. And if they hit enough of those that are above that line, then it's like, all right, I'm going to watch film. If they don't, then we go to gate 2, which would normally be the combine. And then gate 3, if they don't pass gate 2, which would normally be where they're drafted at. Gainwell in his gate 1, which is based on essentially listed measurables and productivity, is right up there with Williams and Etienne as far as the number of boxes he checked. But the film gave me a little bit more pause. Dan, as you said, in coming out of Memphis, he's a much better receiver than he is a between the tackles type of runner. He's not going to be a power back type of guy that you can really use or rely on between the tackles. He's good as a pass catcher. He's good outside. Most Memphis backs are. He's shifty. He's got some pretty good agility, ability to stop on a dime and everything, again, like most Memphis backs that we've seen. But I have some serious concerns about his ability between the tackles. And, if he gets pigeonholed into in now size, like hearing he's coming in under 191, that's another kind of cause for concern for me, despite liking the profile. I mean, if he's coming in, and it all depends too, right? Is he really 5'11"? If not, he's coming in under 191. Okay, a little bit of tolerance there. But, you could be looking at just somebody that is, put into this type of, not an every down back, role-based kind of pass-catching, sort of third down, Nyheim Hines type of back, if you will.
That's kind of what I was going to say. Like, there's a lot to like about Kenny Gainwell. There is. But I think his cuts are a little rounded. I worry about his strength at the next level. I don't see a lot of great contact balance. And, the things that he does do well, pass catching, athleticism, elusiveness, they require you to be in space. And the toughest thing in the NFL is to get into space, right? So it kind of takes an intentional level of manufactured production, which means that you need to really be an intentional part of the offense, right? Like, because best case scenario, or I don't want to say his best case scenario is Nyheim Hines, but we saw Nyheim Hines be fantasy relevant because the Colts wanted to use him. But flip that coin to Justice Hill in Baltimore. When it doesn't work out, you know what I mean? You don't have the level of manufactured production that you need. So I'm not trying to put that on him. Gainwell is my running back 5, but I keep saying, after the top 2 running backs, man, pick the one you want. And if you like Gainwell, go and get Gainwell. If you like Javonte Williams, go and get him. If you like Chuba, go and get him. Michael Carter, Javion Hawkins, Jarrett Patterson, go and get your guy. I do like Michael Carter.
Jarrett Patterson's killing Balash. He can.
We gotta talk. We gotta talk Jarrett Patterson because of your guys is opposite. I'll say opposite views on him. I'm right in the middle. The fact that he didn't get it. I know how bad Buffalo is. When you turn on Buffalo's film, it is fucking atrocious in terms of the quarterback play and just the overall passing game. But if you don't register a target in an offense that gave you a 40% dominator rating in your final season, Devin Singletary concerns level. I think he's a better pass catcher than Singletary, but I do.
And I came off of Balaj. Balaj was because of the 8-touchdown game. That's where the Balaj note happened. It's like, oh Jesus, it's this year's Kalen Balaj because he had an 8-touchdown game. But more so, the film reminded me of Devin Singletary than it did Kalen Balaj.
And I don't think that's a bad thing.
It's not a good thing either, though.
It's not a great thing, but I do think he's a better overall runner than Singletary, but he could get pigeonholed.
But
Matt, What are your thoughts on Patterson? Because I want to hear this kind of back and forth between you two.
I mean, I like Patterson, but everybody has their price point. So, I have Jared Patterson 34 overall on the big board, and that's running back 10, I believe. So I have him over guys like Trey Sermon or Ramondre Stevenson or Puka Williams that folks might be into, but
fucking Stevenson.
Yeah, tell me about it. But Patterson, man, he absolutely destroyed. He ripped apart the MAC. I mean, back-to-back rushing titles, 2019, 2020. He's powerful. He's tenacious. He's going to be a guy who lives in between the tackles, right? So he's not somebody that you're going to want to put into. He's the opposite of Kenny Gainwell in a lot of ways.
Yeah,
the way that he plays the game.
Yep.
He's an agile runner. I do think he can start and stop very quickly. So he doesn't have breakaway speed, but he maneuvers well into the second level of the field. So I like Jared Patterson. I think there's a lot to like. 34 on the big board, that's a late third round pick. So I'm not suggesting we have high investment in him, but I could see an NFL team really appreciating what he's going to bring to the table. The other thing, he's 5'9", 195. He has tremendous contact balance. And oftentimes, we look at 5'9", even 5'10", and we're worried about that height. But we've seen how guys who come in at 5'9" at times are able to use that contact balance in a positive way, keep that low center of gravity, and Patterson does that. When I look at guys playing in any of the group of 5 schools, the MAC included, you can't be better than the defenders you're playing against. You need to embarrass the defenders you're playing against, right? Like if you're playing against Western Michigan and I'm watching your tape, I need you to absolutely destroy. And that's what Jared Patterson does. I mean, he's untouchable playing in the MAC. So I need that level of domination on the tape, and it comes through.
So I'll agree and disagree at the same time. I agree. You should absolutely, if you're playing at the MAC, be dominating your competition. And man, his offensive line did that. Props to those guys. Great offensive line. He was running through holes that looked like Moses opened them.
If we didn't talk holes when we were talking Kenny Gainwell, then we're not talking when we're talking Patterson.
No, we're talking holes when we're talking Patterson. Gainwell wasn't somebody I felt strongly one way or another about. That's one of the things I noticed with him, though, that brought up the Singletary comparison, though, right? Singletary, not a guy that's really going to create for himself at the first level. When he gets to the second level, he can do a little bit of that. But at the first level, he ain't really going to create for himself. He doesn't have exceptional vision or anything like that. It's, oh, look, a giant-ass fucking hole. Let me use my speed to run through this because I'm quick enough to do that. And then I'll get run down in 15 yards because I'm not super fast. And I might make a guy miss because I have decent footwork. Can be a little nifty at times, but and have a little bit of strength to break some tackles. But if I don't have a friggin' gaping wide hole, I'm not doing much. And that's kind of where my knock was on Patterson, is it was just mostly a vision thing. If it was there and he could hit it, he's good. But I felt like he missed some, or didn't take, either didn't see or did not take, because it's kind of hard to distinguish between the two. Some open cutback lanes. I feel like he has the ability to use that footwork a little bit better at the line than what he does. It really comes out at the second level. It doesn't so much come out in the backfield. So, that's one of those things that at the NFL level, it's kind of hit or miss on whether that can be coached out of somebody or not. They got to get the opportunity first. If this were porn and not football, he's going to be fired because he's hitting the wrong hole too much. That's just basically where I land out there. And, pass catching game, I didn't think you showed great, honestly. I did not think you showed great in the pass catching game. So, to me, this is a between the tackles runner that at best I think is just a guy.
When I say he's better than Singletary, it's not like Singletary was also
isn't also just a guy.
Catcher. He's like yeah. Yes.
Right. These running back rankings opposite of the top 2 for me are going to just be completely
It's not going to matter after draft
Yeah.
night. That's why we don't really rank other than for ourselves before draft
Exactly.
night.
Right.
Because
And, it's
gonna get
important for me
flipped.
to have a pre-tape process, but
Well,
it's
yeah,
not even
'cause
just about draft capital.
people
when
care
it's
about
running
what
backs.
you're doing.
It's about fit.
Yeah.
Right.
It is. It is about fit. And for Jarrett Patterson to be a fit, he's got to be pretty much drafted. For me to have any faith in him at all, he's got to have round 1 through 4 draft capital, and he's got to land at a place that doesn't have a dog shit offensive line.
He needs to get lucky like Devin Singletary did. He's got to go at some point in late day 2.
Early
With
day
what-
3.
Yeah, with wide open competition. I don't think he's gonna I don't think there's a team out there that's gonna buy into him as their starter from day 1.
Send
He
him
could
to
be
the Jets. He has a chance.
I just want to clarify that I did not have a positive evaluation on Devin Singletary.
I didn't either.
Yeah. None of us did. Should we
Okay.
shift? I kind of want to shift gears to wide receivers here because
Yeah, let's
I want to pick the mind. I want to
let's
switch
get
off
through
the running backs.
3 or 4 more things. We're an hour and a half here, so let's
Yeah,
get
we'll
through
do
a handful more.
because we got to do receivers. We got to do what's widely considered.
Thankfully, I don't have a lot of
Marcus.
input there because I haven't started watching receivers yet.
So let's shift to where wide receivers are what's widely considered to be the top position group in this draft class. And I got to ask you, we got to bring up Rashad Bateman, Matt. It's
There we
time.
go.
It's Gopher fan. I absolutely fucking love Rashad Bateman. I know you don't dislike him. That's just that. We're not going to get into that. But you're the lowest I've seen. And I respect your take so much that I got to hear your thoughts on my boy Rashad Bateman. So why don't you go ahead and speak your mind for us?
Yeah, so he's my wide receiver 7 right now, 17th overall on the big board. So mid-second round pick in Superflex ADP, which, by the way, if you cross-reference that against NFL Draft Bible rookie mock draft ADP, you're getting a 203. So I'm only technically 5 spots lower in Superflex leagues on Rashad Bateman. So I'm not too much of a hater. But that being said, Rashad Bateman is a guy who 2-3 years ago, when I put him in my tape formula, he would have graded out very high. But I've refined the formula every year, looking at what does and does not hit, and trying to specifically look at what traits do and do not translate for fantasy football purposes. And it's a situation where Rashad Bateman consistently scores the best in the categories that have the lowest weight in my system. And so it's like I flip on the tape and I like what I see, but when I put those numbers into the formula, it comes out the way it does. And some of those things, you look at Rashad Bateman. What does everybody love about him? They love his contested catch ability, right? He's got those highlight reel contested catches. He goes up and he creates some separation at the last point at the catch point. He, manages to, yeah, right. I mean, and
He's going
manages
to
to go
test
up
better than N'Keal Harry. He will.
and get the vertical ability. But, he's 6'1", 210. Guys, you're not going to get away with being 6'1", 210 and making those kind of catches in the NFL, because his vertical's good. He's going to test well in the vert, but it's not that good. You need to be able to separate in the NFL. And although he has some good route running ability, he doesn't consistently separate before the catch point. And consistently, you can find those Big Ten DBs draped all over him. And he makes the play. He does. He goes up and gets that ball. But, that inability to separate will really kind of it's a red flag with translating to the NFL. For me, it's like a running back that doesn't have good vision. Not having that contested catch ability. And he also, he's got a good score for me in yards after catch. There's your N'Keal Harry knock. I mean, we consistently see yards after catch doesn't translate well to the NFL. And N'Keal Harry is a great example. But the other one I bring up for very different reasons is look at CeeDee Lamb, right? Like, I love CeeDee Lamb. He was my wide receiver 1 last year. We did that whole thing. It worked out well. But even in Dallas, when he was playing really well, it was not with yards after catch ability, right? Because you just don't win in the NFL in the same way. You got better tacklers, the space is tighter, guys are quicker, they work better angles, right? So that doesn't translate that well either. So the things Rashad Bateman does really well are the things that I don't think translate as well. So I think he's going to be a good NFL wide receiver, depending on his landing spot. I mean, you guys may appreciate this. If Allen Robinson moves on, I love the idea of him playing in Chicago because Darnell Mooney can stretch the field and Anthony Miller can open up the underneath, and you could just let Rashad Bateman hang out on the boundary and run curl routes all day.
Okay, so I may have a different opinion on this once I watch him, but based on your evaluation, which I tend to trust, and what you look for sounds like a lot of what I look for on wide receivers, why do you put that on me?
Well, here's the thing. Here's the thing. It's a situation where, he's got to be put in the right spot. And I know that that's everybody, but I really think Rashad Bateman needs to be put in the right spot. And in most situations, I don't want him playing an X-type role. But if you can open up the field to that level, right, for him with a guy like Mooney stretching and a guy like Miller opening up the underneath, if you could just let Bateman run curl routes all damn day, he's pretty good at that. And then every fourth curl route, you let him run a fly, right, and keep the defensive back on his feet a little bit. But, one thing I want to point out, Bateman reportedly from his own account ran a 4.3 940 at the Exos Pro Day. I just want to be clear. You should throw out all of your Pro Day numbers for this year.
At least it was laser timed.
Okay.
At least it was lasered. At least.
Were those cones 40 yards apart? When did
Let's
that laser?
hope so.
When did that timer start? I'm not accusing them of anything, but when you're running a Pro Day facilitated by the company training you that nobody has public access to, come on.
I'm right there with you. I've been making jokes about this. I saw 4.39 and there's no fucking way that Bateman, at least on his game film, his play speed is not 4.39. I think he might be underappreciated. I think he's a great slot or slant guy as well.
He's a good route runner.
I think he's going to from the analytical perspective, he checks every single box. Every single box, which is why a lot of people like him. And I know that, our boy Kane, who has been Bateman number one his whole way, has even fallen off that a little bit just based on how bad. He didn't play as well this year. I will say this. Tanner Morgan was absolute fucking dog shit.
Played bad this year. But Minnesota played bad this year.
Calling Morgan bad is an insult to the word bad.
I was talking about Bateman, but yeah. He had some drops. He had some drops this year on his
There's
tape.
some drop issues.
You guys know, I don't forgive wide receivers for dropping the ball. You know? That's how you get Jalen Reagor, but that's fine.
Oh, I don't care about drops as much as in terms of it, translating to.
Well, they kind
of. I like my wide receivers to catch the ball.
No, they kind of have one job, right? Wide receivers have to have hands. Didn't we determine that in year 2?
Yeah, we did. Since day one, they can't. They can't just catch a ball with their feet. They can't Josh Dobbs it to
It sounds silly, but it's seriously where my tape evaluation differs significantly from some other folks. Some other folks really do not care if wide receivers have concentration drops or just bad handwork.
Depends on how consistent it is for me. I do care about handwork, though. If you're chest catching every time, when you go to an NFL quarterback that actually has some freaking velocity behind that, good night. I like it when people adjust it, too, based on the route they're running, coverage, and show that ability to, should I hands catch this? Do I need to let it come in on me if this is tight coverage? Things you look for. Wide receivers with hands.
Wide receivers with hands.
Wide receivers with hands. We like wide receivers that can use the 5 fingers if they're given.
I just think, and I could be wrong. I could end up being. I hope I'm wrong. I hope I'm wrong on every prospect that I'm low on. You know what I mean? Because I want these guys to succeed. But I think. I see day 2 in Bateman's territory. I don't see this day 1 Rashad Bateman hype, and you never know.
If he runs a 4.39, if teams fall in love with the fact that he ran a potential sub 4.4, he's going to go day one. I mean, I'm there with you.
I mean, because
but
teams
if he
aren't
runs if
scrutinizing
he's
that
running a
also.
4.39, then Devonta Smith is running a 4.1. Anthony Schwartz is running a 3.89. You know what I
Fucking
mean?
Schwartz might end up running the highest time we've ever seen.
He's going to run a 2.5 on that.
That dude's going to run a
timer.
4.11 or some shit like that. He's also really fucking fast, though. That dude. You see it on film, and you'll see it, I think, when he tests as well. But, I just wanted to bring up Bateman. Hopper, do you got any questions for the wide receivers?
Oh no, not for wide receivers. Like I said, I haven't started that yet.
Who should I watch?
We'll start. No, I've got them flagged already based on the gating process. I just haven't sat down and done it. It's an afternoon's worth basically for me to get through the first round of them. But without having the combine, my sense of urgency was a lot less to get through them ahead of the combine. So
That's fair.
That's fair.
Who's your favorite kind of value receiver right now that you think is a value right now, Matt?
I love I love the value on Terrace Marshall. I'm driving the Terrace Marshall fan club.
I don't think there's going to be value there. I think everyone's going to come up.
I hope they catch on, man. I hope they catch on.
Dude's a lot better than what he put.
I like
stat sheet.
I like Dwayne Eskridge a ton out of Western Michigan. He's somebody who's started to gain some hype, and I won't claim that I was on the forefront of his train. I definitely have jumped on mid-process, but right now he is 24 on my big board, and his ADP at NFL Draft Bible is a late third. So I have him almost a full round higher than ADP. I love his explosiveness. I love his first step, the way he releases off the line of scrimmage. He runs a nasty slant. He's got good athletic ability. And so I really like Eskridge. I think he could be used in a lot of different ways in the NFL. They can move him all over, but he's super explosive, stretches the field. And after a good Senior Bowl, the expectation is that he's going to be a day two guy. And I don't think I don't think the fantasy community has really perked up on that yet. So I think once they do, we're going to see a skyrocket in ADP. Especially if he goes somewhere that's going to stretch the field with a quarterback with a nice arm. So,
especially he wasn't 24 years old. I wish he won't be 24. Like I want to have those early years and not be, the guy that looks at him and goes, "There's like he dominated his senior season because he was 23, playing against far lesser competition, but he's hyper dynamic. The guy plays well with the football in his hands. He's hyper electric, and if he does get day two, like you said, I've been hearing the same amount of hype. He's going to rise up people's board because you just can't ignore day two draft capital. At least for the early production that he has a chance or the early opportunity that he could get with that day two capital.
So you kind of mentioned it, Matt, and I want to stay serious here for a moment before we get silly again. That one thing you look for in running backs is vision. One thing you don't like in wide receivers is drop. So I want to talk about film evaluation for a second, which is, both. It's the primary evaluation method that both of us use. What at each position, what trait do you give kind of the most weight to? Because I know I have them based on each position. Or, if there's maybe one or two things that you put above everything else, or that you won't stop watching somebody's film until you have a good feel for trait, insert here.
Yeah, that's a good question. So I've simplified my process a little bit this year. I used to do 10 or 11 traits per position. I kind of condensed those a little bit, and so I do 7 per position now. At the quarterback position, one of the highest. There's a couple that are tied, but I think the really important one is mechanics. Mm-hmm. And I say that because I think there's things that you can teach. Every college quarterback, when they're coming out and translating to the NFL, they need to work on their mental processing and decision making. This year's class, Justin Fields gets railed on that. Trevor Lawrence has some mental errors as well. Yeah. So all of those guys need to improve that. But when you have a mechanical foundation to you, when you have good footwork, when you have a consistent drop back, when you have a clean, tight release, those are things that are hard to change at the NFL level because you don't have as much practice time as you think you do, right? Especially if you're not a day one quarterback and you're not the priority on the team. it's going to be hard for you to relearn the way that you've thrown the ball for the first 21 years of your life. So for me, once you have those mechanics, you're moldable. And so at the quarterback position, that's definitely my highest rated trade.
So quarterback position for me, the one thing that I won't shut off film until I see is I want to see a sense for pressure and how they react to it. So that is number one what I'm looking for, because in the NFL there's one guarantee. You are going to be under more pressure than you were in college.
Oh, absolutely.
So what are you going to do with it? Are you going to run first? Do you extend plays? Do you have that internal timer to sense it and get rid of it? Do you just absolutely freak out and your entire process breaks down? Looking at you, Josh Rosen. Like, that was the one trait for Josh Rosen that made me say this guy's going to bust. When he was under pressure, everything just went away. And with Patrick Mahomes, it was the opposite. It's like what made me look and say, all right, I think, there's something special here. It's the fact that he had the ability to extend plays, to sense pressure, to keep his eyes downfield, to make things happen. And I'm just looking for that sense, because to me, a lot like with mechanics, that's kind of one of those things that's really hard to teach, because it's one of those things that, to me, you either have a feel for it and you have a sense for it and you're composed, or you're not. Physical things are a lot easier to teach than some of those raw mental things. So that's what I'm looking for at quarterback, probably more so than anything else.
And I think the thing too is, like, there's different things I look for depending on what your style is at the quarterback position.
Yeah.
So you mentioned your reaction to pressure. One of my favorite things to look for in a running quarterback, right? So a guy that is mobile, a guy that, can win with his legs. One of my favorite things to see is their ability to stay in the pocket under pressure and look for the pass first until that pocket is really broken down.
Yes.
Right, exactly. And so, that is a huge, because, I want quarterbacks that can run, but I want quarterbacks that want to throw the ball first, but have the ability to run. Obviously, unless you're running a design run or something like that. But, it's one of the reasons I really like Jamie Newman. And I know he's kind of fallen off into day 3 territory, and he's kind of a high upside type guy because he opted out of UGA. But he looks to throw the ball first, even when he's under pressure, and he can win with his legs consistently. So, that's definitely something I'm looking for in quarterback prospects.
What about running back? What do you look for there? I mean, you said vision earlier. Is that it? Is that your bread and butter deal there? Or are there other things that you hold high?
Well, vision's my red flag, and there's kind of two ways to approach the evaluation process. You could either be looking for ways players are going to succeed or looking for ways players are going to fail. But I try to take that more optimistic look and figure out the way players are going to succeed. And so thinking on the more positive side, athleticism is something that's really high for me. And there's a lot that goes into athleticism. One of which is change of direction ability. Mm-hmm. And so if you have clean cuts, if you have the ability to maneuver around the field, then you're going to be able to create space, create yards, create opportunity. And for me, you could be fast, you could have good vision, you could be a good pass catcher, but athleticism is the thing that's going to take you over the top from being a good running back to a great running back. And so that's why it's the highest for me.
So kind of 3 for me, and they go hand in hand, right? I'm looking for vision. Is both a red flag and a sign. I don't want to see you running into the back of your line. I don't want to see you missing cutback lanes. I don't want to see you
Javonte Williams.
Yeah, banana running and missing the ability to cut up field. They're just, I can run people over, so I'm going to run them over. I'm looking for I like agility, but I think more so than that, I like acceleration. Because
definitely,
I think that if you can accelerate once that hole's there, the quicker you get to top speed, obviously more yardage you're going to gain. It helps your breakaway ability, but it also helps you when you're coming out of your cuts too, to either maintain speed or to get back to speed if you do have to change speed. There's only 2 or 3 guys I've seen truly elite acceleration in, I think, ever, and so that's one of the big things that I'm looking for, though, is the ability to accelerate. It's one of my biggest knocks on Hubbard. He accelerates like he's a freaking semi-truck. And then the other thing that I evaluate this, and I know a lot of others don't, but to me it plays a lot into your opportunity, more so than your success, is pass blocking. And the reason I look at that, that's going to be the difference between you getting the shot to be on the field in year one in the first 6 games of your career, especially at running back when it's so hard to craft an opportunity for yourself, than a guy that, okay, yeah, we can't trust him to pass protect, so that takes him out on 3rd down. And then we got this other guy that's going to be in during the first 2 downs anyway, and now you're behind the 8 ball barring an injury, basically. So that's another thing that I look at is to really determine opportunity. And I guess I don't put a ton of weight in it when it comes to ranking, but I do use it as a tiebreaker or, depending on landing spot, is can this guy see the field early? And that's going to be one of the biggest indicators I know that's going to tell me, will this guy see the field early or not?
Yeah, I mean, pass blocking is key. And I mean, you said it perfectly there. We're all looking for 3-down backs in the NFL, but you can't get to 3rd down if you can't protect the quarterback. So
yeah, there's some in this class that are truly bad at it. So
right, yeah, and it's a hard thing to evaluate just because when you're watching tape, you have to watch a lot of tape to get a lot of pass pro blocks and or pass protection opportunities, right? And so, and it's something you need to see consistently over time. Making one good block, it doesn't get you a good score. And
it's just different styles too, right? Are you being asked to dive at the guy's knees and just chop him down? And then are you being asked to chip and get out on a route? Or are you actually being asked to go up against a linebacker or a defensive end and stop them?
Right. And how well can you pick up on those things yourself?
Yeah. And move to pick up the free rusher if you're being asked to do that.
And there's just not a lot of film, on that because, like you look at some of these collegiate teams, they're not asking their stud running back to pass block. Like, are we going to see a lot of Jared Patterson pass blocking scenarios? Probably not, because why the fuck are you asking your best player to pass block for you on the weakest part of your game? It's the same thing with with the smaller guys. As most people know, I'm not a big film guy in terms of where you guys are at in your evaluations. I lean heavier on stats, or on my analytical profiles. But I just wanted to throw that nugget out there.
Yeah. And for wide receivers, for me, I'm looking at route running, basically. That's the bread and butter right there is it a full route tree, and how well do they separate before the point of catch, just like you said, Matt. And I kind of mentioned earlier, I'm also watching their hands. Do they adjust for the situation?
Yep. I think you got it. Route running, it's tied with speed for me when it comes to the wide receiver position. And, that's a direct reflection of what the NFL has told me they want. The speed sells in the NFL. Henry Ruggs, Hollywood Brown. And I know those are names that, you might say, do they really translate, at the next level? Those guys, that's a situation of fit. But I mean, look at the way Tyreek Hill's speed changes what he can do on the football field, right? So those are things that not only the NFL tells me they like, but you could see the way they make differences on the field. So if you're fast, you're going to get opportunities in the NFL. They're going to put the ball in your hand one way or the other.
They're going to draft you far higher if you're fast.
Exactly.
Exactly. I mean, whether that actually translates to the next level, especially for fantasy production, I think I agree with you there more so too, is that it's fit and it's just how the team wants to utilize you. I mean, for me as someone, I mean, I know a lot of people, especially the analytic community, didn't like, Henry Ruggs, but I don't know how you don't find more ways to get your speedster, wide receiver who's got big fucking hands. That dude's got mitts on him. He did not try to find more ways to get in the football, at least in space. And who knows if we'll actually get there for them. It's kind of a death sentence if they run sub 4.3. At least based on, on the history.
There is actually at the college level and evaluating college performance, there's actually a drop off if you are over a certain yards per reception. I think it's like 17 or something like that. If you're evaluating single season, it's actually a red flag.
No, watch out, Jamar Chase.
Yeah.
21.2.
Again, it depends, right? It's not a big red flag, but there's definitely like,
Oh, I know.
if I organize it, you can see based on single season performance a huge drop off because that's kind of a sign of inconsistent boom bust type of performance in a lot of ways. Guilty pleasure bar songs, because we're just gonna slide that in there. So the reason this came up. It was at a work outing the other day. First time together in months and months and months. So a little happy hour at the end. And we were playing on the touch tunes. And I ended up in bar karaoke mode to Sold at the Grundy County Auction. And I won it that way by the Backstreet Boys.
There you go.
And Britney Spears' Lucky is another one of those guilty pleasure bar songs for me. So what do you guys have for kind of embarrassing guilty pleasure type of bar songs? Because everybody's got them.
I mean, I love anything by Kesha.
Kesha's a damn good.
I feel like, a little TikTok on karaoke night. That's never a bad move.
I saw Kesha at the state fair a couple years ago.
At the state fair, what a place! I'm trying to think of like actual situations I found myself in. I'm pretty sure I found myself doing country roads at a bar in Louisville late night. That was terrible. But I'm trying to think of like specific examples that I can think of.
Almost Heaven, West Virginia, Blue Ridge Mountain, Shenandoah River. Okay, I'll save y'all.
Got to be a little raspier. Like you got to get some Appalachia in there.
Appalachia.
So I'm always gonna my go-to karaoke, my go-to touch tunes if they have it on there is Billy Currington's "Good Directions." Is
that the Radish song? Is that the song where he's selling radish turnips?
Yep, he's selling he's selling turnips out of his pickup truck.
I was gonna say, which one's that? Can you?
No.
No.
Yeah, I don't know that tune. I don't.
Not
Take me home.
Country road.
And then obviously, "Party in the USA."
Oh yeah,
Miley Cyrus.
Oh, how did I miss that one? Oh yeah, that's a good one.
Miley.
That's good.
That was at the peak of my bar going time. So a lot of Party in the USA.
You peaked with Miley Cyrus and Party of the USA. I think that's when she peaked as well.
Yeah.
It's not ours, Dan, but Katy Perry's Dark Horse.
Yeah.
Oh, Ron.
It's a good one.
Pretty much any Jason Aldean song from that mid 2010s. Again, I went to a lot of country bars. I had a lot of friends that they like force-fed country.
Yeah, I mean,
to a point where I just eventually had to like it, and then no, I absolutely love it.
Living in Tennessee, there's like a set rotation of bar songs that everyone will sing when it comes on. Song of the South, anything by Alabama, really.
Oh yeah.
Callin' Baton Rouge. You know what I mean? Like there's a rotation of country bar songs that, just Wagon Wheel, of course.
Wagon
Wheel. Wagon Wheel's the obvious.
Old Hootie.
Hootie.
Well, I mean, Old Crow.
Old Crow Medicine Show. Yeah.
That's the one that you should be singing.
The original.
The original.
The actual original is Bob
Dylan is the original. You're absolutely right.
But, I mean, if it's not Luke Bryan, I'm pretty good. And I come from the bro country, times of it. So I absolutely fucking hate Luke Bryan. But if All My Friends Say comes on, again, it's sent over because it's the one song I love from I like from him, and I fucking love that song.
There's a country song where they list all the football teams. That's a popular one to sing along to as well. Do you know what I'm talking about? It's like
I have no clue.
I can't remember who it's by.
What?
That's a good one.
Okay.
Country Nation. Brad Paisley. Country Nation by Brad Paisley.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't know.
They say like all the college mascots, but they say volunteers twice. So big fan.
No, okay, yeah, because you feel fucking special after that one, huh? All right, couple more for you here as we wound down. Second-year player that's gonna make a big step in year 2. Real quick, I'll try and table this one. Who's your second-year player you're looking to take a big step in year 2, Matt?
You really flipped that on me here. Second-year player, I'm expecting to take a big jump in year 2. Looking down my dynasty rankings, I mean, A.J. Dillon, I think, is the obvious one. I like Michael Pittman to take a nice step forward as well. I think either one of those are good options. And then I think we'll see more from Denzel Mims this year.
I was about to say Mims and Rager are probably my 2. I expect to see more.
LOL, Rager.
Yeah, maybe Mims, yeah.
Yeah, probably Mims. Visca Chenault down there in Jacksonville. If they get I'll go at the other half of that. Like, for whatever reason, he's tied at the hip to Rager for me, but I have such a positive feeling towards Chenault.
Well, one's good and one's not. So,
for God's
I don't know why they're tied at the hip for. I think I do know why they're tied at the hip for me, actually, because they were both kind of the injured, high upside type of player, except for Chenault showed it more. And then
yes, because injuries.
Yeah, because
in year 1 for Rager and dysfunctional team.
They did.
Don't get me wrong; he also struggled.
Put him straight into the X role too, and that didn't work.
Yeah, that was.
I love the call on Michael Pittman. I love the call on Denzel Mims, and then I think that you look at the running backs, and I expect them to J.K. Dobbins and DeAndre Swift specifically. I expect to step up into their draft capital.
Oh yeah.
I'll even and this is if something happens to Ronald Jones, but even Keyshawn Vaughn.
Keyshawn Vaughn's another one that I'm not dead on yet.
Low end.
He looked good, like in very limited volume.
And the team seemed to be high on him, despite the fact that you had Leonard Fournette and Ronald Jones there also. But the team, everything that came out on him on Vaughn was positive from them, so he could be a year 2 step forward for sure. I love that call.
I mean, if you want to dig in, a little bit, Adam Troutman in New Orleans, I definitely think could contribute more.
Especially Brees.
Cole Kmet was coming on nicely last year, especially as a between the 20s type guy.
Yeah, but he's a Bear, so
used a bit, but Bears are not in good shape.
Tua, you can't I think too many people are so so bought into the Dolphins potentially exploring, a quarterback options or trade options. I'm sorry, but if you can get Deshaun Watson, you're going to trade Tua. And if you're not exploring potential QB situations at pick 3, you're still doing it wrong, unless you have Herbert or Burrow. Tua still has its question marks, but I think he's going to prove a lot more again in a full off season. And then I fully expect Miami to add more playmakers to that team because I'm sorry, but Devonta Parker and Mike Gesicki as your only true 2 playmakers on that offense is you're going to see bad quarterback play from most QBs in that situation.
Yeah. Hey, it wasn't done wrong?
This beer review that we're about to do?
This beer was not done wrong. Yeah, the Session Stout. It drinks a little bit more like a porter as far as the body of it goes, without being super heavy. But what you do get out of it is the roastiness you'd get out of a stout versus kind of the more sweet notes that you get out of a porter. So there's a lot of coffee and roasted malt on this one, despite the super light backbone. It almost drinks more like an ale from a mouthfeel perspective. It just has some nice roastiness to it. Little backbone of sweetness, but yeah, overall, very sessionable, very drinkable beer that is a bit unique. I would say comparative-wise, it is actually probably pretty close to a coffee porter, except the wheat gives it a little bit of a different wrinkle, even though...
So does it take away from the true roastiness or the potential bitterness from a coffee porter?
No, not at all. It's not overly coffee by any means. It's definitely more roasty than bitter, for sure. Because there's no adjuncts in this, so
that's fair.
Natural roastiness.
Again, I'm drinking Keyboard Kitty from G5 Brewery out of Wisconsin. It's an Imperial Brown Ale. Like, what you described is almost what this beer is like. It clocks in at 8%. There's no adjuncts added, so it's sweet. I get pistachio on this. I get this pistachio sweetness to it. I get the overall full flavor, the roastiness, the robustness that you would get from a porter without the heavier body that you would get from a porter or a stout. It drinks a tad bit softer, a tad bit lighter than that. But, a good comparison to this is the same brewery out of Wisconsin, but Point Brewing. Their Snow Pilot, which is a pistachio brown ale. This one drinks, very similar to it, that you get the sweet roastiness, the sweet robustness from nuts. And then, with it being a brown, you're obviously going to get coffee undertones with a touch of
nuts,
vanilla chocolate to it.
Sorry, I saw
Hopper was going.
I saw him start to laugh, and I had to. Nuts.
Nuts.
I knew you were going there.
Nuts. Matt, why don't you tell us about your seltzer?
Yeah, how's your coffee, caffeine, Blackstone cherry seltzer?
I'm still awake, so it must have worked fine.
That's because you don't sleep.
Hey, man. There's always time for more tape.
NFL never sleeps, so neither does he.
We're going to do one question here about Debbie because along with Dynasty and along with the rookies that you grind so much.
Great. I'm going to go get another beer while you do that because I know not shit about Debbie.
Yeah. You are a fixture part of the Debbie community. Someone that I lean heavily on along with, with Kane and with Ray and our boy Skip. So why don't you give us and our listeners, why don't you give us one player you're high on from the 22 class, from the 23 class, and the 24 class?
Oh, that's a good one. Higher on than consensus, or
just guys that it doesn't need to be the big names, but guys that you're like, a Gainwell style for me, or like an Elijah Moore style for me, a guy that's not at the top of everyone's a tier, but people that I gravitate towards and absolutely love and then lock in on. Example, even though he's now higher, and it would be like a David Bell, right, from Purdue. I absolutely love him for next year. But again, one guy from 22, one guy from 23, one guy from 24.
I think one guy we're sleeping on a little bit in 22. I've been doing a pretty good amount of mock drafts, just trying to keep up with where ADP is, and I really like Jerry and Ely out of Ole Miss. He's 5'10", he's 180, so he's a little bit on the smaller side for running backs, but he's hit the ground running, back-to-back super productive seasons for Ole Miss in two totally different offensive styles. He showed the ability to catch the ball and contribute on the ground for them this year. So I think he's a guy, he adds on a few more pounds. He starts playing closer to 190. He could be a real kind of destructive guy. So I like him a lot. Kind of similar, except he's a better runner. But
I don't disagree there at all.
I'll also say, like, for guys looking a little bit deeper into the Devi game, and this will carry over well into the 2023 board, but I'll mention a 2022 guy to get us there. Talia Tagovailoa, the younger brother of Tua, who you were talking about earlier. Maryland played very few games. I believe it was 3 or 4 games this season, because even once they got back on the field with COVID, they were hit with a lot of outbreaks. But they looked really good.
He fucking destroyed Minnesota.
Yeah.
In that first game. Destroyed.
Not hard. No, I'm just kidding.
No, it's not hard. No, not at all.
But I thought the quarterback play looked really good, and then carrying that to the 23 class would be Raheem Jarrett, the wide receiver that he was throwing the ball to a ton. So I really like Raheem Jarrett there as a wide receiver option. Another guy in that same class, and I just tweeted about him earlier this weekend, but Michael Mayer, 6'4", 232. He's my Devi tight end too right now.
That's
He's super athletic.
It's almost Jason sized.
I see what you did there. But yeah, I actually thought his name was Mayer for a while. It might be Meyer. I don't even know. But he's athletic. He's big. And Notre Dame targeted him a ton as a true freshman. So I like him a ton as well. And, honestly, once you get to the 2024 guys, people will fight over ranking these guys. we don't know anything.
Exactly. Like
We
they're,
don't-
they're
you
fucking
know-
freshmen at this point.
I could tell you guys that I like more than others, and I could tell you the big names, but we're kind of picking and choosing a little bit. One of the guys that I do, I like a lot, and I don't even know if he's going to win out his own job. I really don't. But Jackson Dart was a late riser for
That's a hell
committing
of
to
a name.
USC. Yeah, I know. First and foremost, what a freaking quarterback name. But he's 6'3", 210. He was playing out in Utah, and he didn't have any major offers going into his senior season. And he just absolutely destroys the scene. He's kind of like an improviser, gunslinger type quarterback. And he just tears it up his senior year with Utah. And Utah was one of the few states that high school still played in the fall. And he ends up playing his way into an offer from USC. Now, USC had already had Miller Moss as a quarterback commit, but Jackson Dart, because he's a California guy, so they're running in the same circles in terms of like the training, the camps that they do. And so Jackson Dart, knowing Miller Moss, still goes to USC despite having now a variety of big offers, and pretty much says, I'm taking on this 4-star kid. At the time, he was a 3-star recruit. He's gotten bumped up to a 4-star, but he was like, I'm taking on this kid with a higher star rating than me. I'm going to campus in the same class. I'm going to go there. I'm going to beat him out for his job. And so maybe Miller Moss wins it. He's more your traditional pocket passer type quarterback. But I don't know. Something about the size, the gunslinger mentality, and the fact that, he's kind of got that dog mentality where he's like, I'm going to get onto campus. I'm going to beat out this kid that I've been running in camps with for a long time. I know I'm better than him.
That sounds like the type of guys that I gravitate toward. I mean, I do like the fact that he's 6'3", 210. Obviously, a far bigger frame just based on his measures than.
Yeah, he's 18. I mean, come on, dude.
Yeah,
dude,
he's fucking he's got a lot more room to grow, and especially being able to play with with USC. Obviously, he'll have to play behind Keaton Salvis over the 21 season, but a name to know. Names have been jotted down. For the 2022, for your Devy, for your deeper, depleted Devy drafts.
Dan, did you know that I actually had a drop for rapid fire?
I think was that. I would assume so because we've.
I don't remember what it is though. Can I play it?
If you want to.
I mean, we started the segment an hour and a half ago, but
we gotta do a redo, starting all over again.
Rapid fire.
Sounds like Mortal Kombat.
Damn, that was a good one. We should use that more often. Like,
People
it gets the
are gonna be
machine
so
gun fire in
confused.
there and everything.
They're gonna be so confused. Like, weren't they on this segment for the last
The
hour
whole
and a
time.
half?
101 of cheeseburger toppings. We got two for you before we go out.
101 of cheeseburger toppings. Like, I can only put one thing on the cheeseburger?
No, but you're drafting, so I mean, I guess yes. Gun to your head, what's the best cheeseburger topping? But let's say we were doing a cheeseburger topping draft, which maybe we could do a 3-round cheeseburger topping draft. But
Have you ever had a fried green tomato burger?
I hate tomato. Period.
No,
So,
but do you like fried green tomatoes?
I hate tomatoes.
Put a little
period.
pimento on there. Ooh, I would say onion, but like,
Yeah.
because you could do it in a variety of different ways. You could have onion straws. You could have an onion.
Yeah, but
ring.
you gotta specify, right? Because I was also
can't I
gonna
have it
say
all?
say onion, but it's specifically grilled onion.
Oh,
Sauteed.
grilled onion.
Yeah.
Oh,
I
put
could
a
go
little
different.
grilled onion,
Yeah.
blue cheese. Oh yeah.
Cheese.
And
peanut butter. Oh,
my
Peanut
peanut
I
butter's
have had
pretty
a
good.
peanut butter burger.
My
It's
number
good.
2 is an over easy egg.
Yes.
Yeah,
Egg
yeah.
burger. Yeah. Throw a little bacon on there.
Yep. It just makes it so moist and holds everything together so well. Like, it's just good.
A pretzel bun is the number one of buns, though.
See, I'm not big on pretzel buns, but brioche or brioche, however you say it.
I was like, is that?
I don't know if that's right. I'm not.
Brioche
Do I
is
look
brioche.
fucking French to you,
no, we're
Matt?
saying brochet.
Broche.
Broche.
Broche. It's like the James.
Have you had the James Brochet burger?
It's really actually kind of shitty. It's actually just a piece of lettuce on a couple of buns.
Son of a bitch.
Oh, God.
Prochet was terrible.
It's better with age. It'll come through next year.
Yeah.
Breakout, second year breakout. James Prochet, Devin Duvernay.
On that
Devin
Baltimore
Duvernay,
offense.
second year breakout. I'm behind. He had a terrible landing spot. God damn it, Baltimore.
Just wait till
Wait
a
till
true
Willie
alpha.
Snead is out of there. Freaking Willie Snead.
Just
Yeah,
wait, just
the
wait
true-
for Rashad Bateman to
True alpha,
Oh.
Willie
to
Snead.
really get to see Duvernay.
son of a
When you
bitch.
get to see, Lamar Jackson actually develop as a passer.
Bacon. Bacon's there.
Bacon.
Bacon's always
Bacon's
there.
there.
Is a burger topping.
Of course.
And then there's all sorts of other shit people throw on
Sweet
burgers.
pickles. I
Yeah.
love sweet pickles.
No pickles on the burger.
I love
I'm not big
pickles
on
on my
pickles.
burger.
Not interested.
Sweet
Keep them
pickle
far
chips.
away.
Sweet pickle chips.
Yeah, not big on that. And,
Whatever.
And finally, either or, who's more fun, Drew Lock or Chad Kelly?
Oh, fucks. Okay.
This is a pro Drew Lock account here, and it is an anti Chad Kelly account. So you ain't getting me with that.
I'm pro both. I'm obviously pro both. So
Fine. Drew Lock or Josh Dobbs?
Drew Lock, way more fun.
No. This is made just for Matt. Because you and I
Josh
both don't like
Dobbs-
Josh Dobbs.
Man, Josh Dobbs is about to go to space one of these days. Like, that man is an astronaut. But
Yeah,
I'm
we
going to go
talk,
Drew Lock.
talk about stock going to the moon. Josh Dobbs might literally be going to the moon. But
He might be going to the moon, man. I mean,
They're about
those guys played against each other
kick
in the
passes.
SEC.
yeah,
Yeah,
they did.
I got to
indeed.
pick Drew Lock.
Yeah, it's always Drew Lock. Drew Lock gets a bad rap.
Drew Lock every time.
There's a
New motto.
at least one of our listeners. I think it was Alex. You only lock once
You only lock one. That's right.
Oh,
from our Sunday episodes.
Yeah.
He started Drew Lock once based on my advice, and then from there it was you only lock once, and that
You
was
only
it.
lock once.
Yeah, you
I mean,
only
that's
lock
about-
once.
That's about what he gives you for fantasy. So
By the way, second beer is Triptych's Time Enough at Last. Dan's giving me a blank look.
you know my feelings of triptych.
Have
From a
you,
work perspective, I haven't had time. I haven't had that one yet. I don't know what I'm going to drink. I probably won't drink.
it's very good. By the way, Matt. Dan, do you got anything else from Matt?
No.
Okay, because I got
We
about
did-
15
we did
minutes of
everything.
I got about 15 minutes of shit after the show with you. So,
Okay.
Matt, thank you very much. One more time, tell the people where they can find you. We kept you up. You don't have a bedtime. Who the fuck am I
No,
kidding?
he doesn't fucking sleep.
Tell the people a bedtime story.
oh my gosh. I'm about to put myself to bed right here.
It's all right.
What's the
Just
bedtime story?
lay it right
You got-
next to the Trey Lance hype.
There you go.
Put them both to bed.
No,
The worst.
No
The
worries.
worst. Mac, you want a bedtime story? You just flip on some Mac Jones tape, and you'll just fall right asleep. You'll just lull yourself to bed.
Sam
how I feel about-
Sam Ellinger.
I
Sam,
feel about Drew Lock.
How
what?
dare you?
I actually fell asleep when watching. No, it was either Drew Lock or Daniel Jones. I don't know.
It was Daniel
I think
Jones.
it was Daniel
It
Jones.
was probably Daniel Jones, but I also didn't like Drew Lock as much. Like, I want Gardner Minshew to be a thing.
oh
again.
my gosh.
It's one more, like, I won't, like, for, like, Hopper and Drew Lock, I will never quit Gardner Minshew. I know Hopper feels the same way, so.
Yeah, I do feel the same way. I like Gardner Minshew. All right, Matt, one more time. Where can people find you before you fall asleep on the show?
Yeah, patreon.com/the FF Educator, FF Educator on Twitter.
That's FF
NFL
underscore
Draft
educator.
Bible, si.com/NFL/draft, all the good stuff.
Beerfield FF at Hot BFF with 2 P's. Beerfield Fantasy Football on Facebook. Beerfield Fantasy Football on YouTube. Beerfield FF on Instagram. Did I get that right?
Yeah, I think so. That sounds right.
Beerfield FF on Untapped. Thurry BFF on Twitter.
Hot BFF on Twitter.
I already said that one.
I know,
Nobody's
you said mine, so I just had to say yours.
nobody's still listening. See you guys.
Bye.